Patriot Smoothie here, day 9, wrapping up the trial of Tamara Lich and Chris Barber in Ottawa. Today, believe it or not, we actually got through an entire witness. Captain Martel of the Sûreté Quebec SQ was on the stand today, and before I delve any deeper to this, if you appreciate the reporting that me and Chris have been doing, if you want to support what we're doing here, feel free to message me, Patriot Smoothie, on my Facebook page, and I'll reach out to you with my e-transfer address. Additionally, you can go onto the pinned comment on my page, and you can see a link to the Buy Me a Coffee page where you can go ahead and support the work that we're doing here. If you appreciate the reporting on X, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching from, if you value this service, please consider that if you want to. But as always, I appreciate the likes, the shares, the comments, and everything else. We just moved that to the beginning of the video. It's just better for everybody. So yes, we got through an entire witness. I cannot believe it. Now, I'm not going to try to say or spell the first name there, but it was a very French officer from the Sûreté Quebec, the police service of Quebec, like the OPP here in Ontario. And he testified quite a bit, but his knowledge is pertaining to the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th of February. By the 20th, him and his unit packed up and left Ottawa. So he was part of the Sûreté Quebec, the riot police that came for the police action, the guys who were wearing the green olive suits there and the riot masks, and they had the colored epaulets and the big numbers. So his team was the green team. He had the green epaulets, the shoulder epaulets for his team. There was also a purple, a yellow, a gray, and maybe one other from the Sûreté Quebec. So he was a commander of about 45 to 50 officers with that riot unit doing public order work, and he testified to that effect. He was asked, we watched a few other videos today, I think some of those videos were taken from Officer Barlow's evidence earlier in the trial. I believe there was Exhibit 6 and 7 respectively, and maybe in Exhibit 96. Again, we still haven't consolidated the evidence from the voir dire with the evidence to the trial proper, so it's not clear which is going where and what is going to be moved over to the trial proper. 60 plus exhibits over the last week or so from the voir dire that will be argued to become exhibits based on their admissibility arguments. Like, again, we have the big one, 36A, which is the or 37A, which is a lettered exhibit, I believe, representing the Facebook document, the 212 pages, the police capture by Sergeant Pilote, homicide detective with the Ottawa Police Service, of the Freedom Convoy 2022 Facebook page. There's a lot of arguments around that. It wasn't clear how the Crown wanted to use that piece of evidence. There is 11 posts in that document signed Tamara Lich, and still with that signed Tamara Lich, you don't know if it's actually her who signed it, and it wasn't clear to which degree they wanted to use the other 212 pages of that document for context, for other kinds of evidence, for circumstantial evidence, for direct evidence. But now the Crown's saying they're not going to rely on any of the comments, the defense saying they're not going to either. So maybe we're moving closer to a resolution on the so-called Facebook argument, the Facebook document. We also have the admissions to argument pertaining to the defense trying to exclude 9 potential Crown witnesses that they say their admission that they've made to the court that some interruption of the enjoyment of property that happened in Ottawa during the protest basically makes those witnesses legally unnecessary or legally irrelevant, whichever word you want to use. Whoever's hurt, you don't want to make bleed from that one. So it's up to you on that choice. So that's where we're at with that. We also have the signal chat between Ottawa PLT teams with which some of the information in the so-called PLT logs going all the way back to earlier with Officer Isabella Sear comes into play. So we wanted that source information there. Daisy, what time are we at?
3:40.
Cool. We're just keeping track of things. So Isabella Sear, we had those PLT logs, but it's a mixed match, a composite of all these different sources. So we wanted that source. So now we finally got the signal chats. That has been given to the defense as of Friday, I believe. There's also this, and they call it a piecemeal, the PLT piecemeal document there for those logs, which is just a collection of different notes and chats and stuff, communications. But we want the source. We want the truth and nothing but the truth, right, everybody? That's what we need here. And normally I try not to give excited, entertaining updates. Normally it's just matter of fact, and here's what we've got. But we got through a whole witness today, so I can't help but feel good. Can't help but feel good that we got through a whole witness that only leaves so that's 3, that only leaves 19 if all of them are called. So wow. Well, maybe we'll be done in February.
And the defense was supposed to originally have 9 days. Was it something like that?
No, the defense
would have had
Crown
9.
had 10,
Sorry,
and
Crown,
the defense had 6.
That would bring us to today.
Yeah, this was supposed to be one of the last witnesses tomorrow. Also, this witness needed interpreters for everything. We had the defense correcting the interpreters in the morning. I talked about it over lunch update. The defense, Magus, and even Greenspan himself, both fluent in French, standing to correct some of the translations that were made because it needs to be accurate. The Crown at one point saying, no, those motions can be made later. Please stop waving your hand. I know it's been 5 minutes. We're going to wrap this up, folks. We're going to wrap this up, but there's a lot of information to get out there.
Don't you call me up,
as we covered during the lunch break, the Crown tried to make it said the defense can motion about these translation corrections later, and the judge was like, no. Justice Perkins McVeigh saying no, these need to be done as they're happening. So accepted that those amendments were being made, and then from there on out, after the fourth or fifth one, we got pretty consistent there. So that wasn't an issue. Again, at different points in time, the captain of the SQ, they're saying hold the line, and the Crown asking him upon re-examination, because the defense brought that up in their clips that they played, again, which exhibit is part of who knows. I'll have to go through that again. It's an enormous amount of information you can appreciate, but he ordered his men to hold the line, or as they say it in French, I don't remember the French wording for that, and then the Crown asking, what do you mean from that? The way he asked that question to the witness, the defense, Greenspan specifically objecting to that, the witness leaving the room, and then re-clarifying the question, rephrasing it, him coming back, okay, what did you mean by giving that order? When Greenspan argued you'd need a linguistic expert to come in here and tell what does it mean to hold the line, blah 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 blah. So there we are now with this, and then finally at the end of that we were able to say goodbye to the officer Martel, to Captain Martel of the SQ, and finally one witness starting in a day and finishing in a day. Maybe we could keep this pace up and we'll only be 19 more days. But then we touched a bit on the admissions 2 argument. This was a very interesting part. What are we at, Chris?
6:30.
So I gotta hurry up. So the admissions 2, very interesting. The Crown basically saying that the defense's admission was a conclusion of law not based in fact, saying that this admissions 2 statement made by the defense would preclude the Crown from calling additional witnesses, notwithstanding the 9 witnesses they want to call. The judge basically saying, I don't agree with that. That's not how I see it. Greenspan has been clear what he wants. He wants to exclude these 9 witnesses and instead just make this admission because of it's more efficient use of the court's time, and also these people are allegedly victims, so maybe withhold them from testifying and the stress of testifying. These were all points that were made in court at various times. So the defense will have an opportunity to reply tomorrow on the admissions argument, the 9 witnesses that they want to exclude. So stay tuned. It seems like things are moving here. I'm not going to curse it, I'm not going to jinx it, but again, thank you so much for following. I'll see you tomorrow morning on Patriot Smoothie, 161 Elgin. See you tomorrow.